A pre-season win at a good pace, while the club plays a game of a wild goose chase. A big money bid potentially looms that could make the plan's bosses go boom. The end is nigh as a club legend says goodbye. The good, the bad and the ugly at Liverpool FC, the weekly podcast from the LFC File. Welcome back one and all to the LFC Files weekly podcast for the good, the bad and the ugly at Liverpool FC. So as usual, a huge thanks for the continued support for the last video and videos, for the likes, the views, etc. So remember, if you like the content, please do like, subscribe, share, comment, and let's continue to grow the community together. Remember to follow on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and of course on www.thelfcfile.com. So firstly the good, and that's got to be the 4-2 win against Karlsruhe in the first pre-season game. Nice opening goal from Darwin Núñez and a couple from Diogo Jota. And of course a nice finish from Cody Gakpo gave Liverpool the win, but of course it didn't come without incident. Karlsruhe came back into the game after Núñez put Liverpool ahead, and they actually took the lead through two blinding strikes, it has to be said, but the boys done well to keep their heads and their composure and of course get back into the game. So that's a good start. And you can see there is a slight difference in the way Liverpool are playing, a little bit more direct, I would say. Dominik Szoboszlai in midfield, very composed on the ball, very good player. I don't know what his pass completion rate is, but it must have been in the high 90s for sure. So he played a very good game, and of course did Alex McAllister, as you would expect anyway, because he's familiar, of course, with the Premier League and English football. So a great start for the boys. As you can see from Klopp's headline here in the Echo, oh my God, Jurgen Klopp praises 7 players after Liverpool friendly win. So Klopp handed starts to youngsters Connor Bradley, Bobby Clark, centre-back Jarrell Quansah, Callum Scanlon, James McConnell and of course Ben Doak and Lewis Koumas. And he had high praise for all of them. It's very early days for most of them, to be honest, because we've seen this before in the past, and although many are called, naturally very few are chosen, as the expression goes. But Klopp went on to mention we could have lost this game because the 2 goals they scored were the most beautiful ones. Wow, which they were actually very good goals. They were difficult to defend, I would say. Our organisation in the box was really good, and not much that I could say. Then he goes on to say, but you still have to hit the ball like they did for the first goal, and it was a special one. But the performance is absolutely okay for the moment. So yeah, good performance, nice opening result, a notable absence from Jordan Henderson, which we'll come on to a bit later. Next up we have the bad, or depending on how you look at it, the not bad. And this is of course the headline in the Express, as you can see here. Liverpool transfer shortlist may be a Jorg Schmadtke smokescreen for 4 players. And he's the author, Charlie Mallam, has probably been listening to the LFC Files podcast, because that's exactly what we said a few weeks ago, that it's clear that a lot of the names Liverpool give out aren't actually players that they go on to sign. And we've seen this with Dominik Szoboszlai. No one saw that coming. Of course, McAllister, the worst kept secret, but mostly we don't know of the players that Liverpool buy, or at least we don't expect them. The same can be said for Diogo Jota, for Luis Diaz, for Fabinho. These transfers, no one saw any of them coming. So yeah, I think it's clear that Liverpool have a policy of playing their cards very close to their chest, and of course you can't blame them, because the last thing they want to do is get caught up in these kind of bidding wars and what have you. So credit to the club for that. I think it's very good that there's that they keep these things under wraps, and it's always nice to see who they sign rather than the constant speculation that you hear about pretty much every player that's unhappy under the sun. So well done Liverpool, and well done Charlie Mallam of the Express for finally realising what it is that the club's doing ahead of anyone else. So that's a good one. Very quick. And we come on to the ugly. Yes, this is a very interesting one for the ugly this week. Reports have surfaced, as we see in the Mirror's headline here. Liverpool transfer roundup. Jurgen Klopp braced for Luis Diaz bid as agent confirms talks. Very interesting one. This is that one of the Saudi Pro League teams have expressed an interest in signing Luis Diaz, which I think for most Red supporters would come as a bit of a shock, a bit of a disappointment as well. However, all things considered, I think Jacob Leake's article is probably a bit far from the truth. I mean, maybe there was a discussion, but I don't think there's much chance of Liverpool selling Luis Diaz. Of course, I said the same about Henderson, but then Luis Diaz isn't 33 years old, he's 26. So there's much more chance of him making a valuable contribution to the team. And as I understood it as well, Henderson was told that he wouldn't be playing much next season, and I think this played a huge part in his decision to leave. But Jacob League mentions here, now Luis Diaz is set to be the subject of heavy interest from the Middle East country as his place in the Reds looks uncertain. The Reds have plentiful options up front in Cody Gakpo, Diogo Jota, Darwin Núñez, Mohamed Salah and Diaz himself. But of course, when you think about this, Cody Gakpo doesn't play on the left. He can, but he's going to be used in this central false 9 position. Darwin Núñez is pretty much used as a forward striker, so that's not correct. Salah plays on the right, as the world and his wife knows, and that leaves really Diaz and probably Jota on the left side. So I don't think it's as bad as he makes out. And before I wrap up, just one thing to mention, and this is of course Jordan Henderson's decision to move to Saudi Arabian Pro League side Al-Ettifaq. I think you have to be careful how you pronounce that one. They've agreed a fee of £12 million, I believe, and this brings the end of an era. It goes without saying, and many won't probably forget this actually, but Henderson is probably the most successful captain Liverpool have had probably since Kenny Dalglish, because with Henderson as captain they've won pretty much everything there is to win. So it's a shame to see him go. He's been a great servant for the club. He has come in for some criticism, but I think this is, he can't escape that. You can't please everybody, and I think a lot of the discussion about the LGBTQ plus community, etc., is something to be taken out of the equation, to be perfectly honest. At the end of the day, the guy has a career. The reported 700k a week is something that not many people would turn down, let's be honest. So we can wish him all the best. Good luck, Mr. Henderson. Thanks for the memories. It's been emotional. And that pretty much wraps it up for us for this week. So thanks for coming along. Remember, like and subscribe. There'll be another edition next week. So of course, follow on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter for more news that comes out between now and then. So again, thanks very much and take care, and until next week, peace. The LFC File.